So guys, a lot has been happening in Nigeria. No be today start. This killing way don't they happen. So it don't take way it don't they happen for Nigeria. Most especially this Benue State issue. No be today don't they happen. As in Nigerians, even before Tinubu, this thing has been on. And Nigerians keep wondering, why is it up till now? No government don't feel come provide solution to this killing, because now this thing started happening, let's say during Obasanjo time, a little bit during Obasanjo time, then during Jonathan time the heat was a little bit more, then Buhari time it became worse, and now it come like saying a triple, now it become triple presently. So Nigerians, they wonder and they keep asking this question: does that really mean that the government don't have solution, as in they don't have solution to what is happening right now? Some persons they argue that Tinubu's visit to Benue State no go fit change anything. Yes, so now waiting some people they talk, as in they talk say this Tinubu's visit to Benue State is just going there to give promises, just the way his predecessors don't give. After they give promises finish, waiting still they happen, and the major problem is say now Nigerian government now them be the major problem. There is this army man wey talk say the problem wey Nigerian government get now, this problem of integration of Boko Haram, and I've said it in some of my videos. How una go talk say una go arrest Boko Haram, people wey they kill, wey be say according to the history from childhood they don dey tell all these people how to kill. Then una go arrest them. After una don arrest them finish, una go talk say una wan rehabilitate them. After that, you will now integrate them into the society.
One of the problems we are having in the armed forces today is because we give the enemies chance to outsmart us. Now, you send our soldiers to battlefield, and along the line of the battle, the soldiers overpowered the bandits or the Boko Haram. Because they have been overpowered, they now applied the 48 laws of power by surrendering. Now, the soldiers now applied the military rules of engagement and decided not to fire them because they have surrendered. At this stage, they got them arrested in order to investigate them and get more of their secrets. Now, instead of focusing on getting their secrets, the government now retained them and said they are repented Boko Haram. You enroll them into the army, you are paying them salary and train them, giving them more secrets of the soldiers. And by the time they got the power, they will reinforce more and come back for you.
These are the opportunities other clan, other ethnic group in Nigeria know they enjoy. So what is actually happening? Does it really mean that the government know what is actually happening, but they refuse or they give a close eye to this? And at the end of the day, thousands of Nigerians are being killed at the detriment of who? As in, this is really, really bad, because this thing keep affecting the most vulnerables. So guys, I would like you to take a look at these reactions. As in, personally, having listening to what the CDS and some other government officials or many people keep saying concerning this killing in Nigeria, it only looks like the government is actually without any solution. Yes, to me, it's what it looks like, that the government has no solution at all. As it is now, the government does not have any solution. And according to Senator Dixon, he said that the Nigerian state appears unprepared for this sort of violence that the bandits are unleashing on Nigerians. That is the words of Senator Dixon, coming from a senator of Nigeria and also from the part of the CDS, that is Chief Defense Staff of Nigeria. He also made a statement, and when he was giving his own statement, guys, it also, from my own perspective, watching that video alone it go make you fear. To the extent, the very dark man, I saw one of his video. He said, saying that statement alone saying con dey fear pass as e dey fear before. So guys, what is actually happening in this country is becoming so overwhelming for Nigerians, and the government seems not to be bothered. Not only Tinubu government, but the government before Tinubu, they seems not to be bothered about it, and which is not really good for us as a country, because the most vulnerables keep being attacked, keep being killed every now and then. So guys, please, I would like you to drop your comment on the comment section regarding this, and also help me to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Subscription is for free, just for you to be getting updates as we are dropping our news. Bye bye, love you.
What's up, people? It's your girl Adiola. First of all, is anybody else worried about the president? Because we really don't understand what is happening. Maybe we need to intensify prayers for Alaji, because at this point, how can more than 100 of your citizens be slaughtered overnight? Once again, by the same herdsmen that have killed more than 1,000 people in Benue State just within the last 2 years. So officially, more than 1,000 people in Benue State have been slaughtered by these herdsmen who are forcefully taking their lands from them. This has happened over and over and over again. Why should it take the president more than 24 hours to release a statement about something that happened in his state? And then when he released a statement, his press statement basically blamed the victims for what happened. He said political and community leaders in Benue State must act responsibly and avoid inflammatory utterances that could further increase tensions and killings. And I'm like, wait, is he saying that it is because of the things that the political leaders in Benue State are saying? Is that why they are getting killed? These people are coming to their land. They are forcefully taking their land from them, because the land where their own cows had been grazing, everything has dried up. So now they are coming into other people's land, killing them, and then occupying their land. Why would the president be talking like this? And then he said this is the time for Governor Alia, the governor of Benue State, to act as a statesman and immediately lead the process of dialogue and reconciliation that will bring peace to Benue. The people are not trying to reconcile with their killers. What is the president talking about? Talking about this is the time to dialogue, this is the time for reconciliation. No, they just want them to leave them alone. They want to take their lands back, and they want these people to go back to where they are from, graze in your own land and leave them alone. This is all the people are asking for. Then he said our people must live in peace, and it is possible when leaders across the divide work together in harmony and differences are identified and addressed with fairness, openness and justice. See, it's not that we are not saying that we want to live in peace, but if some people are bent on not living in peace, why will you now blame their victims for being the ones not wanting to live in peace? If you want to talk about people living in peace, talk to the herdsmen who are armed, who are coming into these people's land and taking their lands from them, killing them, slaughtering husbands, wives, children. They are killing children. Official report says 150 something people, and everybody knows that it is usually way more than that, which is why people have been saying hundreds of people were killed in an operation that lasted for more than 5 hours. More than 5 hours, and you have the president after more than 24 hours telling us that it is time for the people of Benue to be responsible and avoid inflammatory utterances. Well, what kind of press statement was this? Please tell me this did not come from the office of the presidency, except for the fact that it was posted on the president's Twitter page. How do you explain this kind of nonsense? And then you know the one that is even paining me on top of all of this. The man now said at an event that he commiserates with the people of Benue. Once again, he repeated the same thing in his press statement, that the political leaders of Benue State, they need to work towards peace. This is the victims telling them to work towards peace. And then he said, I will adjust my program to visit Benue people on Wednesday.
We should be able to manage our anger and frustrations. I sympathize those who have lost their life. I will adjust my program and go see Benue people on Wednesday.
I said, shoo. I did not know that these people needed to make an appointment with you to come and grieve with them. Can you imagine a president saying this? In fact, a father will not say this to his child. Can you imagine that your child is attacked? You will now tell your child, you know what, I'm going to check my calendar. I will adjust my schedule so that in 2-3 days, I will come and see you. What kind of father will say something like that? Not to talk about a man who campaigned, who ran for a position under the pretext that he can do the job. see your life. You are not doing the job. What kind of adjustment to program are you talking about? Now, everything that Alhaji did not even pay me as much as the supposed victims. The governor of Benue State, what he's doing. Have you been seeing what he's doing? First of all, they said that they are preparing for Alhaji's arrival. They're preparing for the presidency to visit them on Wednesday. Suddenly, we are seeing helicopters. We are seeing soldiers. We are seeing police going everywhere. They said they are preparing for the president's arrival. I said, this is exactly why Nigeria is where it is still today. Because why don't you allow the man to come and witness what you are witnessing? Let him come and see your reality now. Why will you fix your problem before his arrival? Then there will be no need for him to come now, because it doesn't look like you have a problem anymore. Also, why didn't you have all these helicopters and all these policemen and women everywhere since this time that you've been attacked? Why did you wait that the president is coming before you now have the police and the helicopters going everywhere? Oh, shoot me, I don't understand these people. Now, let me read this press statement by the Benue State government. This one shocked me. I thought the presidency was messing up, and then I saw the press statement from the Benue State government, and I'm like, why am I even caring so much? The statement is titled, "The Invitation to Welcome the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to Benue State." So they released a press statement to welcome the president to Benue State. I'm pleased to inform you, at the instance of our dear governor, to mobilize massively to give a rousing welcome to the president. What? Okay, let's make it going. The support groups constituency is required. So they have support groups constituency required to form a colorful shoulder-to-shoulder spread procession from airport to Wurukom roundabout and down to Government House, Makodi, where the president will address the town hall meeting. So, wow. Okay, more than 150 of your citizens were slaughtered by herdsmen, armed herdsmen. Now you want the same people to come and give a massive, a rousing welcome to the president. Not just that, you want them to put on uniform. You are telling them to form a colorful shoulder-to-shoulder spread procession. You want them to form a line from airport to welcome the president. You said from airport to Wurukom roundabout and down to government. Okay, so this is going to be a celebration now. Maybe Wednesday will be here, tomorrow we will all see. This was written, by the way, by the Senior Special Assistant on Special Groups Mobilization. Wow! What the heck is this? Why are we putting on uniform to welcome the president? Why are people lining up from airports to Wurukom roundabout to welcome the president? And I'm pretty sure they will clean up even the scene of the attack. I'm pretty sure they will clean everything up. Why don't you let him come and see things the way they are? This is exactly why the country is not moving forward. Packaging every time. Why would the man even believe that anything is wrong? We are our own problem. If the victims can be circulating this kind of letter to welcome the president that has failed you, obviously their government is also failing them in Benue State, because I don't understand the rationale behind this. And in preparation for the president's arrival in Benue State, the Inspector General of Police went there, and guys, you will not believe what he said.
When one incident happened, hundreds of incidents have been prevented that are not known to the public. So that this happened does not mean that we have not been deploying. We have actually been deploying. We've been working together with the military and with other security agencies to ensure that this reign of impunity of these criminal elements ends.
Can you imagine? Wow. I mean, first of all, we've never seen any evidence that they foiled an attack, that these people actually went there and they were not successful because the police or the soldiers prevented them. If that had happened, it would have been all over the news. I'm not saying that you are not working. I'm just saying if it had happened, you would have put it out there. Second of all, why will you say something like that to people who just lost their loved ones? There was one man that lost more than 20 family members. Even if it was armed robbery, you don't tell somebody that has just been robbed that, and the fact that you were robbed doesn't mean that we have not been working, doesn't mean that we have not been preventing people. Who says something like that to people who just lost their loved ones? I think that is very insensitive, and I don't think that it is true. Because why would he say the next statement that he said? Listen to this.
My appeal to the community is to cooperate with us. They know their environment more than anyone else. They should give us information. They know the strangers. They can recognize strange movements. They can see the signs that warns that there is an impending danger, they should please give information to us.
Wow. So now it is the people that can see the sign that there is an impending danger. You are relying on the same people that you were telling that you've been working. You've been preventing. Why do you need people to give you information again? If you have been preventing, how have you been preventing attacks? How have you been foiling attacks? If you didn't have information, if you still have to be asking people to cooperate with you to give you information, Daddy, please, whatever we do in this life, let's just always have the fear of God. Now. I'm sorry, but I don't think these people know that there's a problem. I don't see anything changing after Alhaji's visit because, first of all, he doesn't care. He didn't actually want to go. It has taken him how many days now for him to go and visit? And it took him more than 24 hours, by the way, to express his condolences at all. And he's also blaming the victims for what happened. So I really don't see anything changing. And now look at the victims themselves. Look at what they are saying. I do not see anything changing anytime soon in Benue State. But if you believe in Alhaji's visit bringing any change at all to Benue State, let me know. I'm open to hearing your rationale about this because this one that I'm seeing, we are not ready. As a country, we are not ready. It looks like our leaders really enjoyed the people being oppressed.
Because I knew I was going to be coming on your program, I was compelled to listen to watch the video from Benue. So I was compelled to listen to the president. I listened to the governor, and I heard the compelling words of the tortilla. And I must say very quickly that it would have been better if the president didn't go. The only thing worthy of anybody's time are the words of the tortilla, who spoke extensively to the reality of the situation in the Benue Trough and spoke eloquently to the pains of the victims. Other than that, all the president had to offer were mere windows into his own preoccupation and what truly concerns his aides and assistants. In 2018, February, when Buhari went to Dapchi, you would recall that they ensured that they went with the red carpet so that when he came out of his limousine in Dapchi, he could step onto a red carpet. In Benue, they knew exactly what was of importance to the president, so they ensured that they put out the necessary theater in preparation for 2027. The death of over 200 people did not count for anything much. They were mentioned probably only in passing. You would have been excused for thinking that it was a political event, and the president did make it sound as if the problem was a political one that should be resolved politically, even though I thank the tortilla for ensuring that in spite of the comical clapping that revealed a Kafkaesque dystopian reality in our society, where in spite of the fact that over 200 persons have just been brutally murdered and burnt in their homes, persons could still find the idiocy to be clapping over everything and anything, almost in a manner that even challenges one's sanity. But that's where we find ourselves, unfortunately.
Thank you, Charles, for having me.
Thank you for turning up this time.
Thank you very much for acceding to my request to postpone our earlier interview on account of the dastardly killings in Benue. Well, first of all, let me use this opportunity to condole once again with the government and people of Benue State and with all the families affected, and families and friends, and indeed with all Nigerians, because what has been going on in Benue, Plateau, and so on in some other places, is actually a collective assault. It's an assault on our collective psyche as Nigerians and as human beings even. So talking about that, the president went there, which is good, but I think he could have gone there much earlier. But anyway, he went there. But I don't think that we had a very the decisions and declarations that were made may not have been as forceful as some would have wanted. For example, the way some of us look at this what has been going on, it's not an issue of reconciliation. It's an issue of pure criminality that is almost at a genocidal level. So it's when people talk about settled, there could be minor elements of that, but you can't equate killing a cow with slaughtering hundreds of human beings. I think that's the point the Tortiv kept making. There's one picture that is very poignant. I don't know if you have seen it. The picture of the lady who was in the hospital with her child, whose arm had been severed, and who looked away, you know, in protest about the actions of government. It's good that officials of the government went. I mean, the security chiefs were there. I spoke with the governor myself, and I know that a lot of security people were there, and things are happening. But are they far-reaching enough, Charles?
And are they after the fact?
They are clearly after the fact. Look, I mean, we're not talking of preventing. I mean, we are not talking of 200. Next time you will hear will be 300. Yeah, I think the government is actually without a solution as it is now. And I'm not talking of this government alone. The Nigerian state appears unprepared for the sort of violence that people are unleashing on fellow Nigerians. And you just said the Chief of Defense Staff tell you that he thinks that there are foreign elements coming in. And these are not just criminals like that. These are mercenaries. These are actually commando units of foreign armies trained elsewhere and so on, well equipped, well armed, well prepared tactically. Sometimes even more so than our. And our system is completely unprepared for that.
Place.
I don't think what is going on, the systematic killings and displacement of people, indigenous people, that has been going on in Benue, in Plateau, parts of southern Kaduna, and so on and so on, where the Chief of Defense Staff comes from, southern Kaduna, which I think is a bit in southern Kaduna. But the way it is going on in Benue, for now, is beyond farmer-herder clashes. And these guys are well-armed commando units coming to wipe out communities. This is the Chief of Defense Staff making an opinion. That's a very considered, this is the topmost, the number one soldier in the country. And looking at it, if you look at everybody knows that our borders are porous. And we are surrounded by Francophone brothers all over. And with the crisis in the Sahel, as he rightly said. And also even the confusion in the former ECOWAS and so on, we're actually at the receiving end of a lot of things that have an international dimension. Look at the situation in the Lake Chad region, you know, the effect of climate change, and so on and so forth, where, you know, the Lake Chad is drying up, or sources they are depleted, fast depleted sources of water, and even of large pasture, you know, so everybody is coming down. And then the crisis and the state failures that we're seeing around the Sahel makes Nigeria a very attractive place for mercenaries to come to. So I agree completely with the Chief of Defense Staff. Our borders, we need to rethink the state of security of our borders. And if there is suggested that we secure our borders by fencing or by whatever way, I think that we should support it. I will support it.
You made a very important point, which is that it doesn't matter what else you're doing, you have to be alive.
You have to be alive.
You've got to kind of, you know, secure your borders. But, you know, you talked about the woman with the child in the hospital.
Yeah, that's the picture.
That's the shot,
that's the picture.
That's a very powerful image, isn't it?
And that picture tells the story of how the common people in Benue State, the victims of this massacre, this genocide, how they feel about it. The woman has complete lack of hope, lack of trust, lack of confidence, and that picture typifies defiance And standing before her, you can see the officials. She doesn't care.
It also shows incredible frustration.
Of course.
That you have basically let me down.
Yes. They have a right to feel so.
Yeah.
And you see, it's a combination of a lot of factors. The CDS talked about fencing of the borders. We've got to look at them. How we will secure our borders. And our security and defense chiefs are there to work out the details. We hope that Mr. President will give accelerated attention to that. And then he will look for the money. And if a proposal like that finds its way to the National Assembly, as a member of the Senate Committee on Defense, as a member of the Senate Committee on National Security and Intelligence, I will waste no time in supporting it and canvassing support for it, as we have always done. Well, but it's beyond fencing. The president has got to, as leader of the country, convene urgent meetings with the governors. I've kept talking about this need for ranching as a national security policy and also as a food security strategy as well for the country. He established the Ministry of Livestock, which, by the way, should have been livestock and aquaculture, because you can't deal with livestock and then leave out.
And of course, aquaculture
fisheries.
Involves your people, doesn't it?
Of course.
The Niger Delta.
Of course. So it should have been that anyway. But where is the strategy? The CDS has said that instructions were given for ranching in Benue. It's got to be a national problem. As we are talking, there are clashes sometimes going on in even down as far as Enugu.
No, but you know that the issue has been controversial. So I can understand the point they're making.
Yes.
Let them start in one place and show how this can work and work efficiently, and then kind of expand from there.
No, I don't think properly explained and properly developed as a national security and food security strategy, that there's no governor that will oppose it. We implemented ranching in Bayelsa when I was governor, at the height of these farmer-header clashes. And we directed the headers to go to a particular place owned by the state. In fact, my successor made that a law.
That worked.
Oh, of course, because they're supposed to be there. But you see, when I was there, because of the recession we're managing, we didn't have the resources to build the fences, to build all the facilities that we wanted to build, so that everybody who came in with a cattle will be there and pay tax. And the herders were happy because they used to pay taxes called jangali in the north. They are willing to do so. So it's not enough to do it only in Benue. What of cows that are straying into Bayelsa, to rivers, to Enugu, and to all other parts of the state? We should have a national policy banning open grazing, but doing so in such a manner that we will engage the herders and then build these ranches for them. Then we stop it.
Well,
you have to provide the ranches,
right?
Otherwise,
isn't that a law that the National Assembly can make?
Well, unless you couch it as a national security issue, the National Assembly, our power to legislate, may not cover ranching as such,
right?
Because agriculture may not be in the exclusive.
So would it be more of an executive order?
And that's why the president, as leader of the country, has to engage the state governors,
right,
who by our laws have the land, by the Land Use Act, and they will know how to provide the land. And then the CBN, in my view, and the Ministry of Finance can be made to provide money, if it is 3 billion, 5 billion, 10 billion, whatever the cost comes to, and make it available so that you have these ranches built all over. And with time, the private sector will buy in. And sometimes even local government councils can build in a place like Benue that is very good for grazing. That can be a veritable business if you build 4, 5, 6 ranches with the support, with the consent of the people, the government, and the people. So that anybody who wants to do any business of livestock, you take your cattle there, they are registered, you are protected, you build a school there. For this, because you see, as I said on the floor of the Senate one day, when this issue came up, I said, look, those cattle herders who are taking cattle from Niger Republic, from Chad, up to Sokoto, Kebbi, Zamfara, and then taking them to Bayelsa and Rivers and Lagos. Actually, they are victims of the Nigerian state as well. Young children who don't go to school, no access to formal education, whether English or Islamic or Arabic. And all this education is valuable education. So if you build these ranches, you build the schools there for them. You build the schools for them. And you create a way by which cattle is transported. How can cattle be competing with us, even in FCT, for space? There are times we move around. I'm not talking of Benue now. I'm talking, Charles, of the Federal Capital Territory here in Abuja. And I don't know how the Minister of the FCT is dealing with that. Because that's a major problem.
Well, he's a member of your party. When are you asked? Or you're not quite sure which party he belongs to?
Because that has to be dealt with. What I mean is, even in the FCT, we're not spared. So we can't be competing for space with cattle.
Yeah.
And however valuable they are, there can be no moral equivalency between killing a cow and then somebody now coming to revenge to wipe out a community.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's no equivalency.
But
that is genocide and should be dealt with and called by its name. Round up with the security suggestion.
Yeah, briefly, because we're running out of time. Before you say to me that I've taken up all, I didn't give you enough.
So the CDS talked about fencing of our borders. I think that's an issue. The president should convene a meeting with his governors and the security people and work out a template and create the finances for implementation of national compulsory grazing, compulsory ranching, okay? And therefore, thereafter, a ban will follow, okay? Then, our local systems are weak. Principally, the local government administration system in the country. It has collapsed. It doesn't exist, okay? The president, through his attorney general, approached the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court made a pronouncement. They have to follow it through so that we can have governance at that lower level where most of these things are going on. And then fourthly, there has to be more presence and governance, real governance, by state government officials, by local government officials, in terms of dealing with communities and knowing what is going on, and relating and managing security with the DPOs and the security officers in the various local government areas and so on and so forth. And then funding and training of the police.
Right.
The CDS talked about that. No nation can be secure unless you've trained and fund the police.
Absolutely, that's key.
That is key.
The question is not. It's not. The theory is a completely different thing. The issue, which I think is what you're emphasizing, is that action has to be taken.
Action has to be taken,
and it's got to be taken now.
Yeah, and we all need to work together.
Yeah,
we don't need to politicize it. We don't need to make it a partisan thing.
Absolutely.
I wish it was what the APC did all these years when Boko Haram started. They made it a PDP thing, a President Jonathan thing.
Right.
You know.
Well,
played politics with insecurity, with economy, and so on.
Well, let's move.